Greetings and salutations, everybody. We are back. It has been a while. I think our last episode was July 4th, so over 2 months ago.
I
This is the
mean,
screen.
in the jungle, you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. I didn't know the game was gonna be that literal. They should have had a warning.
You made me speechless. I'm impressed. You said it. You said it. I couldn't say it any better. I couldn't say it any better. Lego, how are you?
Well, now that I'm out of that jungle and survived the lion attack and the monkeys and the
Mhm.
mosquitoes,
Mhm.
I'm doing
But
much
now you're
better.
much better now. Same. We're also in a jungle here, and that has affected the channel as a whole, not just this show, but this show is probably the most affected, I feel like. We didn't get a chance to do a whole lot. We actually did our first adjacent episode in covering Independence Day, and then we just like went radio silent, almost like we were like canceling the show or something. But we're not. We just didn't have a schedule that meshed. Things were going on left and right. The jungle was on fire. We were caught in it, but we are back finally to cover the first of two big Finish projects. This Big Finish is an audio company from the UK, and they have done many different stories over the year. Best known, probably, at least in my circles, I don't know about anybody else, but for doing a lot of Doctor Who content, a lot with the
Dark
original
Shadows, yes. They
Dark
are best
Shadows as
known for
well.
doing Dark Shadows, absolutely.
Best known for doing Doctor Who.
Dark Shadows, we're on the same page, saying the same thing.
We are so obviously opposite the same page, but that's okay. That's okay. I know you love your Dark Shadows, and I don't blame you for that. But we were supposed to do this so long ago, technically speaking, that the second one has actually come out, and it's in the mail for me. I actually have the digital files. I've not listened to it yet. My CDs are in the mail, so much so that we're going to be able to cover back to back just
Your
part
what's
one
in
and
the
part two. CDs.
mail? Your certificate of deposit?
CDs. They're actually little discs that come in. I just wanted a physical copy. I actually don't even have a
DVDs?
CD player.
I
Pretty
don't,
much.
I don't
That's where I
understand.
play my CD. I play my CDs and DVD players and Blu-rays. I don't have an actual player anymore. So where do I get them? I don't know. I kind of like the booklet. I wanted to get the physical copy. I wanted to support V because I want to get all this content as much as we can. Yeah, we have Visitation this week, and our next episode will be Occupation, which is the second part. And then we'll go back to some adjacent storytelling for Lego's sake at that point. Big Finish. So if I didn't explain it clearly, it is an audio company. An audio they do full cast sound effect music audio productions, and that is. We're not going to lie. We're just going to come right out in front and say this is a little bit of a struggle for both of us. This is not our preferred format. We are definitely very visual people. I love music and audios wise that way, but for narrative stories, I barely even listen to audio books, which I know is the big thing. A lot of people love audiobooks and stuff. I barely do that. Every once in a while, I've listened to audio dramas like this, but for the most part, I prefer my art visual. But we are completists, and it's hard to do a show called Review about V when this is the new product about V. It's a new release we've had. Our first release since, well, Lego's favorite series of all time, the 2009 remake of V. Wow. For those on the audio side, if you could have seen that look, I think yeah, you would see something very scary. But we both have admitted we've struggled with the medium a little bit. However, I think it's definitely a worthwhile listen. We're going to break it down. We have it came in 3 parts. It's about 3 hours or so. And the most important part about it for me was that Kenneth Johnson was directly involved. They got the rights from him, and he was kind of involved. He didn't write the story, but he pretty much did. It was based on his script, and quite frankly, it is a pretty faithful overall update of the story. It's not, obviously not taking place in 1983 in Los Angeles. It's taking place 2025 in the UK. But outside of that, barring a few streamlining of the show, streamlining of the cast, and obviously playing towards the medium a little bit, some things that they like we'll discuss as we get through. There's some things that are probably just very visual. They had to find a way to portray it audio wise. Besides that, overall, I thought it was pretty faithful. Do you have any overall thoughts on it, Lego?
I thought it was a little too faithful to the point where I felt like it was slightly lacking in, I don't want to say authenticity, but there was just something about it that still felt like outdated because it was so faithful. And especially, it's more obvious because in the 80s, I can suspend my disbelief because I wasn't alive in that time. But for now, when we've updated it and I am alive and can look around and present, there's things about it that feel like this is just such a pessimistic take. This just feels unrealistic, or by not involving like a Caleb character, um, it feels lacking, and I'm waiting for things to appear because we know what people are like now, and with not having characters that represent these present day archetypes, it just feels like, yeah, outdated.
I can understand that, I guess, to a degree. It's definitely not the sprawling cast of like hundreds that the original miniseries had. Obviously, we have our main cast, our main functionaries, the Donovans, the Julies, the Dianas. Um, we do have some interesting updates on. We don't have a Jewish family anymore. Instead, it's a family from South Africa, or at least the grandfather Abraham is from South Africa, and that's how we continue to try to showcase the updated version instead of being from World War II. The Jewish side of things, it was now South African and the important in their struggles, which
Which
have some similarities, but
that has some interesting, I don't know.
I don't know if that's maybe a UK thing as well, perhaps. It's specifically regionally
Well, I
that
think the
way.
issue for me came in with like they essentially made Daniel an angry black man, which is its own kind of negative stereotype. So it's like, I don't know about that one.
I could see that. I could see that. It didn't strike me as any different. It did strike me that they were trying to almost combine like the Taylors and the Bernsteins as one. Um, but I guess in a way it does forecast those kind of problems in that way because Daniel is still the same Daniel, like
Yeah, because
similar
that's
Daniel,
what
but
happens when you have a story and you have these characters that you're just kind of transposing,
right.
and if you make them a different race but keep the character exactly the same, well, it doesn't play the same. Maybe you should have updated that part too.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I did like the performance of Abraham quite a bit. I thought he was probably one of the most standout performances we had, which is tough because Michael Cimino from the original '83 miniseries was pretty standout in his time. Um, I don't know. What did you like? What did you think of him? Were you happy with him or?
I mean, I don't think I could really say anything about anyone's performance. I'm not good at
Okay.
uh, judging that on an
Okay.
audio base. I don't think anyone was a standout in a positive or negative way. And honestly, I had a very difficult time identifying who was speaking. I was really only able to tell based on context anyway, unless it was
That's
male voice versus female voice.
that is kind of understandable. I mean, to a degree, that's part of the reasons why I think we struggle with the medium. There's some people who like PJ Campbell who loves the Doctor Who stuff, and he'll swear by it. He listens to it all the time, and he gets so much out of it. He tries to push me into it. I listen to a few things from him, and I get the same thing that you get. Sometimes I have a hard time sometimes following it, especially because like they're chaotic, they're more chaotic shows. Like Doctor Who's a very chaotic show at times. So trying to figure out who is who. Like I knew who the Doctor was when he was talking, but I had a hard time sometimes otherwise. Also, of course, we have character actors who are playing the same, are playing actually performing similar roles, or like let's multiple roles, I should say. Like for example, Andrew James Spooner played Richard Maxwell, Dr. Metz, and John. So all three of those characters were one actor. Um, And likewise, Arabella Smith, James, Ruth, Janet, and Mavis. I don't know who Mavis is, but so there's a bunch of people who did multiple roles. So that definitely didn't help that situation, I guess. But I would point out, I would disagree with you in terms of anybody pointed out. I did like, it's Jeffrey Amer who played Abraham. I really liked him. I also glommed on to Donovan, who was played by Jack Myers, I believe. He kind of stuck out to me as a pretty unique, not a unique voice, but like a unique amongst the cast we have here. I thought he was well done. I was not as big a fan, I will admit, of Diana. She came across a little too. Although I should hold back and say that because it is part one, the first three. Well, the first three parts. She's still kind of more in. If you remember back, even Jane Badler, the first like episode or two of the miniseries, she tends to be like very, not playful is the wrong word, but she comes off like, and it's because you don't see her dark side until the more we go on. It's like when you first meet Jane Badler's character, she comes across very kind of demure and very like just low key, whereas I think by
Very
the end,
cutesy.
yes, exactly. So it's hard to judge this character yet until we get to see her really grabbed by the guts. So we'll have to see how that goes.
I felt like her, with the way they were modulating the voice, it just felt, the performance felt too flat, maybe.
That's kind of what I mean. It's like she doesn't have a lot of guts yet to it. It's that very flatness to it. The modifications actually did sound very similar to the '83 version. It kind of feels like it was the same type of modulation, which I was impressed at. It kind of had some of the same sound effects. The laser blast sounded kind of the same as well. So that kind of at least kept me in the V mode, I should say. Let's talk mostly though about some of the changes that we were mentioning, like before. We eliminate the Taylors. It seems we eliminate Willie entirely so far. Did not see Willie, and that kind of like that's my biggest disappointment from this because that's a character I feel like.
Well, we wouldn't. Well, I think you have to have him, but I think he's going to be the next part, right? When we
It could have
capture
shifted
the
over.
visitor.
It could be shifted over, and that's the thing. So like at this point, I will say, even though it has been pretty faithful, I'm trying to follow along. I'm trying to remember. I thought for whatever reason that we had maybe seen him in the miniseries already, but I know that we have shifted some things over a little bit, especially without the Taylors being there. Though that's the
So yeah,
interesting
we met him
thing.
with the Taylors.
So that'd be kind of thing. So now we're got to shift that and maybe introduce him somewhere else. I do hope so, but I think that without him, it becomes kind of a struggle. I know they also kind of seem to eliminate Martin. We just had Barbara instead of Martin. I mean, Barbara was the one who Donovan, shot and called an iguana to get out in the first place. But the whole conversation that initially took place between Martin and Donovan was done by Barbara this time. So I feel like that might be a case of streamlining, and I'd be okay with that. I think. I still haven't settled in my mind on that. I mean, I kind of really liked Frank Ashmore and Martin, so. And I do think that Barbara and then Lorraine in the final battle were kind of just underutilized in a way at times. So maybe just having them be the same character might be beneficial for them potentially. Did you notice that at all? Did you think anything differently about having Barbara there instead of Martin?
Well, at first I couldn't tell because I couldn't identify the voice. I'm like, well, this is gonna be someone, but then she introduced herself as Barbara, and I
Yeah.
remembered how the scene played out. Um, I mean, I think as long as you have the character there, you don't need both. So maybe they just wanted another female over another male.
Which makes sense. And actually, it absolutely makes sense. And if you're going to streamline some characters in some ways, that's actually one they could do. For sure. Another good streamlining of characters, I think, or at least a decent enough streamlining. It doesn't seem like Robin has any siblings this time around. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Why the fuck did we keep Robin?
Well, Robin's going to have the baby at some point, so
Is that necessary, though? Is that thematically necessary to fascism could take over? We need a baby. We don't. That's actually not necessary. It is utterly unnecessary. Kenneth Johnson, what is your obsession with this, sir? I'm starting to question you.
It's about
and your
Diana
moral
being
character.
cruelty. It's about Diana showing her cruelty, I think, medically
I'm pretty sure that she
experimenting.
shows her cruelty in a lot of other ways.
Well,
That same thing is shown in so many other ways. I think eating people, there you go. You showed her cruelty. You did it. You could have had her eat a child. You can't show that, but you can explain it in an audio drama. She ate a baby. There we go. I just made her so much worse. And we didn't have to have Robin. They made Robin worse. PLD, they made Robin
wow.
worse. This is the worst Robin.
Oh, interesting.
I
I
didn't think
go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go
didn't
ahead.
think they could do it. But they did. And part of that is because she still feels like a badly written 80s girl, like that old men created.
That could be. That
And it's
absolutely
like
could be.
it's 2025. We couldn't reach out to anyone and say,
I,
"Hey, what do we think of this?" In 2025, no woman was around. I mean, I know Carrie Fisher has left this world, but we don't have a modern day equivalent for her to take a red pen, click, click. Let's go over this.
that's right. Right. That's fair. That is fair.
We gotta
I
we gotta get a lady script doctor up in here.
I did think that the obligatory like Taylor Swift name drop was kind of like a very cheesy forced thing. Like who are the
I
kids like?
fully missed that.
Who do the kids like these days? Kind of like, it was like basically when Robin went into the Maxwell car and she asked about listening to Taylor Swift instead of like I don't know listening to whatever the news broadcast like specifically very much like that.
Chuck Berry.
There you go.
I caught Chuck Berry and not Taylor Swift. So
There
I
you
think
go.
that says all you need to know about me.
That was actually kind of interesting. I actually did like the Chuck Berry, like the whole idea of the visitors using the media and like over that kind of thing. That kind of like was interesting. Interesting way to show that they've been watching us for all these times. Or anything else, not saying it. They actually kind of like broadcast those clips. That was kind of cool. I think like I did like that aspect of it, to be honest. But going back to the Maxwells first, I did find out we both questioned it. I mentioned that it's not Robert Maxwell, it's Richard Maxwell. And you said it's got to be a very good dick joke, but it's not. I heard from one of our viewers, they
Yeah, I
commented,
looked him up. He was not a good man.
supposedly, yes, not a good man.
And he's
And
dead
they kind of,
now.
he is. So they just probably want to distance themselves from that,
It would
especially
be
in.
like if they called him, if his original name was oh my god, what was his name? Ponzi.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking. Yeah, yes, agreed. Exact same type of thing. So that would be so. That's the reason why makes a lot of sense now, and I'm okay with the change. If that's the case, you know, and I like have that kind of illusions,
Bernie
especially on that
Madoff.
character.
I got it. Really late.
There, you did get that.
So we'll call him Tucker Madoff.
Any reason for Tucker? Or just
This is keeping it,
okay, fair. Okay,
I was keeping it, similar,
you just
gotta match,
really, you just
gotta
really
do
quickly came to that.
parallels.
You just really
Echoes.
quickly came to that. Like you're like, yeah, you planned that.
That was right off the cuff. Right
I
off the
believe that. I do believe that. You know, it felt like that's why I asked because it came across so fair, like you had thought about it. I will say also that was another one of those. I mentioned. I think I don't remember if this is off. We were talking about this before we started hitting record. The script is very close in some ways, and they actually aped even a few lines from Kenneth Johnson's original. That was another one of those lines that it was aped at one point when Richard Maxwell and his wife were talking about the party they're at, and there was the whole joke about are you going to run off the serious, get serious line that they said to each other, a little joke, which was fine. There was a lot of streamlining of things as well, though. I think that like the idea of Robin was at that party and that's where she meets Brian instead of this. I mean, the whole without the Taylors and without anybody from Donovan's family, actually, no Arthur, no Mama Donovan, no anybody. Like we didn't have the facilities and where we're going to meet where the Taylors work, the factory or whatever it was, they're making this material from. So without that, they had to force a lot of different situations, and one of that was Robin being at the party. And Donovan himself, as in the update, instead of being a newsman, Now he's a documentary filmmaker. That ran kind of like a good kind of update, 'cause I feel like a newsman doesn't have the same type of vibe that it had back in the 80s or whatever. It couldn't be a real newsman, didn't come across, but having a documentary filmmaker doing that, that made a lot more sense. Um, Speaking of that, we have Donovan's partner, Tony. I think that was another cool update that Tony actually made it to the ship and kind of was listening to Donovan, because that was one of those things I was talking about before. They had to do a lot of things like Donovan's whole first time into the mothership, where he discovers that the aliens are aliens, whatever. A lot of that in the miniseries was done without dialogue. It was all kind of Donovan witnessing things. So having Tony kind of be a man in the chair where Donovan kind of report back what was going on, I think it was a clever enough way to kind of like get what we needed to know out of that, without having to resort to anything else. Similarly, we don't have that beginning where Donovan goes to Sean's neighborhood and it's all destroyed and they meet Josh. Instead, we don't even get that. We just have Donovan telling Tony about what he did. Sean, you remember Sean?
Unnamed child. Yes, he was mentioned a few times. He's 11 years old now.
Yes, 11 years old now. And he is not appearing, though. They didn't really appear as much like in this one. They kind of like were all of a sudden gone. It feels like that's another way we're streamlining it. Again, we might get to meet them later on, but I'm not sure how I felt about that at all, because it kind of felt like taking that away from him. I thought seeing Marjorie and seeing Sean kind of humanize Donovan a bit more. What did you think about not getting as much with them?
I mean, I think it's fine because, to be honest, it's showing him as an absent father, and he does
Mhm.
talk about them, but I think the point of him was that he is an absent father.
Okay. That's fair. That's very fair. Um, Any other thoughts about Donovan in general? Like, what is it compared to Mark Singer's Donovan? Like, how are we doing with that? How are you doing with that idea?
I guess fine?
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. It's not there yet. I get that. Um, I feel like going on to a different character, then I will feel like that they made Julie a more. It seemed like she was more active in this one. I felt like she got more like I don't know whether it was the stuff with Dr. Metz or the stuff with her boyfriend Benny, I think
I
this
felt like
time
it was
around.
exactly the same. I don't know.
Maybe it was just the performance, but it kind of felt like she was less meek in a way. She kind of felt more, maybe aggressive is the right tone for it. Aggressive sounds wrong, but it's not the right word I'm looking for. I don't know how to explain it. It felt a little more, I guess, active is the way I want to say it, but she felt like more like she was taking charge a little bit sooner than she did in the previous one. I could be wrong, but the Dr. Metz part of it was the interesting part to me. He got more involved, including that little phone call between them at one point, which kind of came over where Dr. Metz was trying to convince Julie to come in, and like after he was obviously converted now at this point, so Metz was converted at this point. Because once in the movie in the show, when Metz was taken away after the file was found, like we never saw him again. That was pretty much it. But now we're kind of like they're using Metz to try to entrap Julie and everything else. Most importantly, this is something maybe I get distracted during. So this is something, and I don't know. This is really, like we said, we struggle with these things. We got to that scene in the Resistance headquarters where Julie is kind of like breaking down a little bit because she's not quite confident enough to lead the resistance or whatever. And in the miniseries, it was Ruby, who was the friends of Abraham, who kind of like helped her talk through it. All of a sudden, we had this like female. I didn't know who that person was who was talking to her.
No idea.
So that definitely didn't work out for me very well. Just a random resistance fighter who we never even heard of is just talking Julie up. It made sense when it was Ruby, who we got to meet a few times. We understood where she was coming from a little bit. That worked. This one didn't, unfortunately. I'll show you. What did you think about Donovan and Christine in this one? Anything?
I think once again, I'm like, wow, your Christine just doesn't work for me in a modern setting. It feels very regressive.
Okay. Okay.
They bait at me. It felt so so much like an old man writing a woman what they feel like a modern woman is. It was just I did not like that at all.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I
And it
think.
made Donovan seem like such an asshole.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me why, because I didn't get that as much as you did, obviously.
I don't remember the specific words that were used. I just remember like listening to it and like the way that he's treating her and what he's saying to her just felt like so shitty.
Interesting. 'Cause I didn't feel that
It's
way.
right after she's taken like the toast, like they're doing the toast because she got the interview with Diana or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it just felt like he just seems such a douche.
Well, interesting. I did not. I did not interpret it that way. It did not bother me for some reason. Maybe I'm a douche then.
And then in 2025, it just if she's not like a conservative TV show host, it's not working for me. It's not working. Her characterization is not working for me. Like this whole thing of like a woman like just walking over people to rise up the ranks and like doing what she's got to do to get her screen time essentially. In 2025, it's 2025, guys. Like, stop.
Okay. All right. Um, I've been leading this conversation for a while. What do you have any notes that you wanted to throw out there that you something you wanted to talk about?
Okay, as soon as you said that, my eyes dropped. Dear God, they made Robin worse. I just wanted to note that.
Funny thing is,
Um,
I hated Robin as much as you did in the original, but I didn't find maybe it's because I was maybe I kind of know what's the word like I'm used to it or I was ready for it to be bad. Because I never really liked Robin, so maybe it didn't bother me as much. But go ahead. What else you got in there?
let's see. We have um, overt references to like witch hunts and McCarthyism. They all but said the words fake news. They were referencing like people's paranoia about like COVID and like,
Yes,
did the masks really help? Really? Oh my God. Like when
we
you
definitely
realize you've
had
raised
that.
a moron.
We definitely had the updates of that, the COVID things and mask
But
things.
for
Definitely
me,
patched some
that it's
stuff.
like everything that they're bringing to the table is hyper empath. Wow,
Empath-
bringing
Empathic.
focus and like irising in on all of the negative and like worst parts of humanity, which I feel like in the original we got the worst and the best. But here I don't feel like we're getting like that balance of like the worst and the best. Where are I don't know because the thing is it's also like they don't need to have any single cast member do this. We can just have a news report. We could
Right.
just have someone mention that this is a thing that's going on. Where are the people who are super I've said this in the original too, I think. Like where are the hyper religious people going like I don't I think this is a conspiracy. Like
Mm.
where are the people who are the conspiracy theorists going they're probably reptile people and being spot on the money. Where are the Reddit sleuths who are figuring out the left-handed thing? Because they would. Have you ever seen Reddit sleuths, PLD? They be sleuthing.
They do be sleuthing, but I don't know how right they are. But
Oh,
most
no. There's like there's some guy on YouTube and he does uh crime cases solved by people online. And like it is impressive what they can do. Isn't there a documentary too that's like that? Like Don't Fuck with Cats or something like that?
I've heard of that documentary. I didn't know what it was
I think
about
that's what
though.
it's about. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll
I
look
think
into
it's
it.
that. But like there was just this irising in on, in my opinion, and over emphasis. I can't say that word. Wow.
Emphasize.
That's the one.
Over.
Like negativity and stupidity instead of bringing like a balanced look at like what would happen. I'm looking for this to be threads, and it's really, really not threads.
I do wonder if this is. I mean, I guess that's a victim of trying to streamline it so much. There is a lot of.
But the
It
thing
does feel like
again,
it's
like
yada
it
yada
could just
yadaing a little
be
bit,
it could just be mentioning this of like
right?
what people are saying online, a news report, Daniel or Robin watching a video of someone talking about what's going on or
I
reading an
wonder.
article online.
I wonder
Like,
if it's the case of like that's that might be happening as we move like more and more forward. Like they first are going to get in there and get and this is the we're winning you over for the most part, except for the people like Abraham and like it's that kind of like dread of. I mean, it's kind of the dread of today's society, and if you're like a liberal in a conservative world, like I mean, like you think like what's happening over here, you got Trump and everything else. It's that shittiness going on that like they believe things like how do you believe these things? I don't understand how you believe these things, but like it's our heroes who are saying that and not everybody else at this point. And I think that
well, that's
might be
another thing is like, I know they're replacing people and they're doing conversions in this version as well, but I don't think they would have time to have done it to everybody to at the beginning. Like if you had one side, and we talked about this, I feel like in every iteration, but like if you had like China being like, yeah, we're all for the aliens, then you'd have the US going, then we're not.
right.
Or if you had like conservatives in any like in the US or in England as well, their setup is different, but it's the same stupid shit. But if they had one side going like we're for the aliens, the other side would be like, then we're not.
Right. There's a lot of less subtlety here. It's definitely more of an overt kind of thing. They're quickly winning everybody over.
Well, I think it's just too
Quick.
dumbed down.
That's a
I feel like the original was presenting something that felt heartfelt and nuanced. I feel like this is something I would watch on a Saturday morning cartoon.
okay. All right, interesting. I mean, I do agree. I think this is what I said. Like what I'm saying was yada yada yada. It is like more of a quickie mart version of it. I will say.
Yeah. Okay.
I
And
get that.
it feels bizarre that it's like the old people on the right side of history and the young people are on the wrong side of history.
Oh well, I mean,
How
many young?
old was the writer?
I mean, it's based on Kenneth Johnson's script. But let me see who actually wrote Jonathan Morris. Who I don't know who that is. Let me see who Jonathan Morris is. I don't.
They don't want to be mean, but like, not to say young people can't be bad people, but like overall, that's just not.
Well, who do we have as who are our characters who are young? We have Daniel and we have Robin. Does anybody else have anything thinking of that's any even young at that point?
Yeah, but I mean, I was specifically talking about Abraham and Daniel.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't feel like Daniel could be Daniel in a household where Abraham is present. Like, I don't think that you get that child in that household.
I don't know if I don't know if I agree with that entirely.
But it doesn't feel like, I feel like you could reverse it and like grandpa could be like Daniel and grandson can be like Abraham, but I don't think it works generally the other way.
I've seen it work the other way, honestly, at times, which is interesting because like it's always you would think that, but like there's like a lot. I mean, I don't want to bring it up like today, but like there's a lot of young people who are being strikingly more conservative than their forebears were, and that kind of feels like that they are the ones who are starting to believe some things more, especially here. I've seen this happen. Some people I'm kind of like confused by it because usually for the longest time it was exactly the opposite.
Because it's like the Alex P. Keaton thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, that's a good point. That's a good way it was. It does feel a little Alex P. Keaton in a way. I guess it is.
But I meant more about the sexual assault stuff.
Okay. Well,
being a little incel.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Being a little I hate the word ungrateful. Like I don't like that word. I don't like using that word. But I think for Daniel, it is.
Well, yeah, he very much so is. I mean, I know he's struggling. Also, obviously, he's struggling with his father not being in the picture, or was he killed? Was he killed?
That's so overused. Again, in 2025, over 50% of people, I think it's closer to 75, grow up in households without their biological father present. I just don't think that's the issue
75?
that men think it is. Yeah.
That's
I just don't think the whole thing about daddy issues is the problem that people think it is.
Okay. It's 7. That's a statistic you're pulling out of your ass. I think that's way too high.
No, I when
75%.
without their biological father in the household.
75%.
Look it up. It's really
Look at
high.
that sounds like, I'm sorry, I got to call you out on that. That just sounds absolutely.
Can I say that this thing has changed and I don't know how to mute my mic now?
Oh, is it? There it is. Yeah. I think you have to click on your profile screen there. So you get it there.
No, I'm just gonna mute the mic itself. I hope it works.
There you go. I hope you do search this up because I'm looking for those statistics. I can't possibly fathom that 75%. That just seems way out of control. You're talking way, well, okay, I guess worldwide it makes a little more sense maybe. But if you're talking like, are you talking worldwide or American, or what are you getting at?
Okay, so I want to say I did look this up like 10 years ago. So this is the AI overview.
AI overview. Okay. Or AI overlord.
AI overview. Oh wait, okay. Well, let me scroll down. They're not really giving me specifically what I was looking for. Okay, so it says I had inversed the numbers. That is my bad. That is my bad. So it's 25% of children in America grow up without their biological father in the home.
Okay, that I'll buy. I will buy that. I will buy that.
So
okay.
It's 18 to 19 million children in the United States. I bet that would be. Ooh, different cultures can be way crazier because in some places I think it'd be a lot higher. In some places I think it'd be way, way, way lower.
I fully agree with you 100%. I was going to say that depending on where you get that from. Because some, especially more cultures, are even more family oriented, and that would be like that's all they are. But there are some that probably are otherwise off. But interesting numbers. Still interesting numbers. As far as it relates to V, is it overused? Potentially. It's funny. I think we're seeing a generational gap here between you and me in a way, because this stuff is not bothering me, but I'm an older white man. That doesn't, like, these are tropes are natural to me, and I don't think that maybe I'm more forgiving of it or tolerant of it because I'm just used to it. Maybe that's what it is. And you're the younger wanting to, find a better way to do it. It could be.
So I've been doom scrolling on Instagram lately because I've been very stressed, and I got into Book Talk, which is like Instagram where people talk about books.
Right.
Yep. Anyway, but sadly, unfortunately, once you go there, you go to a deep, dark place of things I don't understand. Tentacles? I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. Anyway, so there are some people who like make their whole thing about Book Talk, and they were asking viewers or audiencers like, what is the biggest turnoff a book, like a romance book, can do? And the number one answer that they got from the people who took their poll was pregnancy. And I'm like women, a lot of women nowadays don't like when you throw a pregnancy plot into the story. And listen, that's not why I hate Robin, but I will say myself and a lot of women don't like it when you put pregnancy in the story. We weren't here for the alien baby. We weren't here for that.
But you know what?
Romance, tentacles, apparently. Yeah.
I'll tell you, but the argument is, what is the most talked about thing about V nowadays? Like back in the day of the miniseries, one of the most talked about moments was Robin giving birth. It was the scene that stood the iconic test.
Yeah, but you're talking about something from 40 years ago. That was the most talked about thing 40 years ago. Is that what would be the most talked about thing today?
Well, then again, but you're updating a story. Like, how much do you update it? How much do you change it? How could you, if you it'd be like having a Batman movie and Batman's not, his parents weren't killed. It's a very, you got to stay.
No, we're not. Okay, well, hang on. But that is something that is foundational for the story that needs to happen for the story to happen.
But it's more
I don't think that Robin having the baby is foundational and necessary thematically for the story. I think it exists within the story's thematics. However, it is not necessary to propel them forward. And I think it could absolutely exist and possibly, in my opinion, be better without the icky little baby nonsense.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is like, okay, yes, you're correct that maybe it's not foundational for the story, but if you're gonna remake a classic, and the most iconic thing from that classic, you can't excise one of the most iconic things from that classic. It's gonna be some of those things you're expecting, and people are gonna be looking forward to seeing. Like, I would be shocked if there's no baby moment here, big baby moment here.
Follow up. Were people upset? Okay, so you've seen The Sixth Sense. Spoilers for The Sixth Sense. 3, 2, 1, spoiling. He's been dead the whole time.
Right.
Okay, so that's a conversation. That's a big talking point with this movie. The twist.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch the movie, the twist is actually good. Right? It works.
Right.
It's not just about the buildup, but with V, I wonder, was the buildup, because that's the end of the is it the second episode?
The second episode of the final battle. I was kind of building up to that, right? Yeah.
Okay, so was it the buildup and the oh my god that happened? But next, now that we have the baby and the Star Child and all that, did anybody care about it, or did people were just interested in the buildup? But then it happened, and no one gives an F now.
That's a good question. When I was younger, I did. I was kind of like, okay, now we're just going to go with it. Now we have a hybrid
But you were
child.
a little baby PLD. You were mini PLD. You were what is it? Baby Muppet?
What? Maybe, but honestly, I remember like, well, I mean, I still think it was a big part of the conversation. It was something, it was exciting to the people to see, and they enjoyed watching it. I mean, the story part afterwards of having the hybrid child, I mean, it did kind of drive the narrative. A lot of Diana was trying to get her, and that didn't drive the narrative, I shouldn't say that, but definitely had there was a key narrative point to it. I mean, Kenneth Johnson didn't love the star power aspect of it, which of course led to Jennifer Cook's role in the series being a deus ex machina, of course, and I get that, but I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if I agree or disagree at this point, but I can't see them not having it happen. No, I still can't. Like, if you're having the Sixth Sense, you're making the sixth. Okay, I guess I'm playing against your role there, but when you remake something, if you don't have a really iconic thing, people.
But what I'm saying is, like, was the iconic thing the buildup, or was it actually what happened, or was it just the buildup to it? Like,
it was actually happening. It was on screen when that baby came out. That was a water cooler moment kind of thing, as they used to say.
I don't know if you know this, PLD, but this is audio drama. We're not going to see the baby.
No, I get that, but I think they're going to try to find a way to make it more. If they, you know what, that's actually a discussion point, because quite frankly, we don't know if we're ever going to get there. To be honest with you, because quite frankly, that's V the final battle.
I want Robin to be killed. Subvert my expectations.
I mean, because that's V the final battle. What we got here is Visitation and Occupation, which came out. I think that's just encapsulating Kenneth Johnson's original story, which ended, if you remember correctly, it ended with the camp battle, visitors striking the camp battle resistance, fighting them off, and then Elias and Julie sending out that signal.
She already been kidnapped. Didn't it end with her looking in the mirror knowing she was pregnant?
Yes, probably the birth itself didn't. So I don't know what Kenneth Johnson might have done something differently, because in the final battle, because what we know, so yes, she was captured because Donovan got her off the ship, and so she definitely was impregnated as far as we know. But what happened in the final battle? If you don't know this, Kenneth Johnson famously created V, wrote V, was a showrunner of V. When it got a year later, he started the process, wrote a treatment for V the final battle, but famously left pretty early on due to creative differences. And he has a writing credit on it by a different name. He didn't want his name on it, so I can't remember. It's a female name.
Alan Smithy.
It was basically an Alan Smithy name on there. But in interviews he has given, he has mentioned like he didn't ever sit down to watch it, but he did see some things that slipping through channels, as he said. But he mentioned like Ham Tyler and how his Ham Tyler was in a wheelchair, and how at the end of the final battle, it wasn't the Star Child didn't have powers, which is interesting what we're talking about. Didn't have powers, but Martin like sacrificed himself by taking the mothership out to space where the nuclear device went off. And there's something else specifically. Oh, like the priest. It wasn't an Irish Catholic drunken priest like the old whatever. It was supposed to be a young, hip African American priest. That's what the difference was for that as well. But he mentioned those specific differences, which means to me, the bones were probably the same. Like the specific, a lot of details were changed, but the bones of his story were kind of the same. When they first announced this project, Visitation Occupation, I was actually honestly more interested to see what they would do if they moved on to the next part of the story, because we have a couple different options now. We have the chance to potentially see what Kenneth Johnson would have done with the final battle, which is fascinating to me. So kind of we both, when we watched the final battle, noted that we enjoyed the final battle, but it was definitely far more of a, instead of being the social commentary it was definitely far more of an action sci-fi pew pew kind of fun thing going on. But to hear what Kenneth Johnson would have done, this might be the closest we would get to seeing that. However, on the other hand, we also have the fact that he did write the novel for the second generation, which you haven't read yet, which is what we're gonna cover eventually. And that's now Kenneth Johnson's official sequel to the original miniseries. However, I don't know if they can do that as an audio drama, because it's kind of different in terms of like, we already updated it. Like the second generation takes place like 20 to 25 years after the original miniseries takes place. We're not going to jump to 2050 to do the second
why not?
generation. Oh, we could. I just didn't see that. I mean, you know what? You're not wrong. I should take that back. Maybe we will. I didn't see that as being like the idea what he'd want to do, but I could be wrong. Maybe he wants to push that because he definitely wanted to make that as a movie at one point. Still kind of does, I think, at this point. If he's still working on it, although he's been working on it for like 20 years at this point, I don't think it's ever going to happen. All that long roll around there to say, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how he tackles. I hope we do get more, because I will find it fascinating to see how we change as we go forward, because that's maybe the interesting thing. You mentioned that it is almost too faithful to Mark, and I agree with that. It's almost too faithful, because it is kind of like it does that. My one criticism is like some people, I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's awesome because it's faithful, it's adaptation," because people don't want change too much. However, if it's not enough change, then why are we doing it? So I get that aspect of it as well. We don't like, it's like a shot for shot remake of Psycho. Why did we do that? I have no idea why we do that.
Hey man.
Why do we do it? You can tell me why do we do it?
So it can stop anyone else from ever trying to do it.
We're trying to do what? Doing a shot for shot remake, or doing any remake?
Doing any remake ever again. There's do you not know this theory?
No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's a theory that Gus Van Sant did a shot for shot remake of Psycho to ensure no one would ever remake Psycho again.
I don't see how that works. If somebody wants to remake Psycho,
because it failed.
Yeah, but
he was proving you can't remake Psycho
by doing a shot. I think you have the argument. Well, but no, of course a shot for shot remake's not going to make it. We're going to try to make it different than that.
Yeah, but it's Studios PLD. You know, studio logic. We remade it. It didn't work. We'll leave it alone.
No, what I know from studios is Psycho made a lot of money. Is the thing. We can find a way to make this work. That's what the studios are going to do. I feel like that's a bad. If that was the case, I think that's a bad decision. I think it was a bad decision either way. There's nothing about that made me think that anything about that was a good decision. If you're going to remake it, I mean, you should remake it. But if you're going to remake it, add something to it or do something with it. Take a swing with it.
Or like some stories are outdated. Maybe just don't.
And that's okay to do it too. I don't think this is a story that's outdated though. So I think they can find a way to update this. And I think we disagree on how well they did it. I do agree that you brought me into the idea that it is too faithful. But that's my point though, is getting to what the final battle would be. we're definitively going to go away from what the final battle did, and maybe it might be more interesting, entertaining from that aspect. So I'll be kind of curious to see what they do from there. Let's see. Any other things that you wanted to talk about? Or
I
are you
got
good?
confused at this one point.
Okay.
All right, so Daniel the Maxwells go to stay in the
Attic.
Daniel's family's attic, which I'm like, well, okay, we're making this. Gee, I wonder what this is in reference to. And he turns them in. His family gets arrested instead because the Maxwell slipped out. But it was so weird that Robin went outside knowing her father is in hiding to look for Brian. Daniel essentially tries to blackmail her to have sex with him.
Right.
That's a whole gross thing. But then her dad gets like angry at her instead of at Daniel, which is weird, and I did not like that at all. And then Daniel goes to talk to Brian to let him know, like, when he's turning them in. And Brian asked if he's seen Robin, meaning he doesn't know that Robin is the daughter of the scientist he's looking for.
Well, I think it was more that he was turning in this family. He wasn't saying it was the Maxwells.
Yeah, but like that would be the first question. And like there's just a lot of little details like that where I'm like, I feel like the writing was maybe a little bit too lazy.
Okay, that's fair. I actually did like the idea where we see it more clearly that Daniel was willing to step on Brian to get ahead. We had the scene with Diana where he basically turned him in and was trying to be ambitious with that. I did like that a little bit better because I always had that kind of felt a little weird in the original miniseries because I felt that might be the case, but it wasn't very clear as how far that would go if it was too much hero worshiping of Daniel because it kind of, or of Brian rather, because it kind of got that way. It felt that way towards the final battle when Daniel eventually gets caught when with Maggie doing her thing at that dinner party or whatever. But I'd like a Daniel who's willing to take Brian out for the betterment of his own career, so to speak. That I like that aspect of it. I think this Daniel is actually. I think it's funny. He was presented as better at first, but he can end up becoming even worse than the Daniel that we knew. I think that's how I read. Especially the sexual assault. There was also much more. It felt much more overt this time around than the original. So I don't know. Let's see. Random note I had the score in the background was actually very similar to the original score. Like it wasn't the same.
I thought it was the same.
It was very close. There was some difference. It's kind of more of a Jeroni version of it, but I liked it because it was similar. But if it was exactly the same, I don't think I would have liked it. Because then it's like, well, what are we doing here? Again, more that like if we're making a different story, shouldn't it be something different? But
I don't know about that. Like if you remake another Halloween, you got to use the theme.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's true. I guess sometimes like it depends on the theme itself, and how iconic the theme is. I mean, I guess Bond uses the same theme all over his time. And
didn't they make a joke about wanting to use Star Wars, but they used Andrew Lloyd Webber to welcome the visitors?
Yes, I think they did actually.
But like, I couldn't catch if the song was actually something from Andrew Lloyd Webber, but they should have used Starlight Express.
Yeah, we had that conversation about Starlight Express. Yes.
I mean, wouldn't it have been great if they? Oh wait, no, that's not. Yeah, that is. Wow, now I'm doubting myself. Fan of the Operas, Andrew Lloyd Webber, right? Yeah. Oh my God, could you imagine they use like the overture from Fan of the Opera?
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm good with that.
Honestly, like that just tells you music can make or break something. You drop in a Fan of the Opera overture, your movie's going, or your audio drama's going up half a point, baby.
Like that. Another point of conference that I like, they kind of got a little more into the weeds about like the skin, like something I thought you might actually like. They had actually mentioned that the skin was organic, the cells didn't have a nucleus, so no DNA. Ruth being more overt about getting the skin before she gets killed or whatever. A little more of the scientific aspect of that. I thought you might dig that, given how you were so into the skin in our first serious conversations about how the skin worked.
I feel like it's not as interesting in an audio drama.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's the thing that we keep butting up our heads against, is that a lot of this is kind of just like, I would prefer to be seeing this on a screen as well. But I feel bad saying that over and over again, because I can't fault Big Finish for doing what they do, and they're presenting it. This is the medium this is their company. It's what they do. I think they do a good job with what they do. It's just our preferences our miles may vary, kind of thing.
Well, I should say, like, I'm a very visual person, but I mean, like, my mind is really blown. Did you know, like, some people don't have an inner monologue? I recently learned this. I didn't know that. Like, some people, like, they don't, like, if you're reading, like, if I read, I hear the words that I'm reading.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so, like, this is like a test. When I say apple, do you picture like a three-dimensional real apple?
Pretty close to a three-dimensional, yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
like some people don't. Like they just think of like in words visually, like they think about the words, like they don't see an apple.
Oh,
So like
weird.
so I
Weird.
have like a full like 3D, movie going on up in here, Dolby, full experience, okay?
Okay.
So when I say, like, I mean my brain is very visual. Like when I'm hearing or reading when I'm reading a book, I visualize fully what's being displayed and I hear the characters talking, right?
Right.
But for my issue is for audio drama, I have a slight hearing issue. So particularly it's bad when there's music going on or like sound effects happening in conjunction with people talking. It's like podcasts where they play music in the background. I can't hear it because I can't hear the words they're saying. It's all just a cacophony of indistinguishable noise. So I keep having to rewind this stupid audio drama and play it again. So that way I can have heard, so basically when I hear something, I hear like I can count like the syllables you've said, and based on the context, I can put together retroactively what words you probably just said to me. So it's my mind works very in manual, what most people have in automatic.
Oh,
So I'm
interesting.
trying to like figure out what people are saying and what's happening around me and visualize it as it's happening. I just have a lack of like literal comprehension of like a lot of what happened, which is why I was taking so notes. I'm like, this is kind of what I heard, I think.
Okay.
There was a lot where I'm like, I don't even know what just happened.
I will say, when have you tried, like, when's the last time you tried doing an audio drama before this? Or something like that?
2020?
Okay. That's part of it too. I think it is something of a practice makes perfect, kind of, it strengthens your memory, because I
No, I
do
mean, I have
think.
like a literal neurological difference. Like that's
Okay.
not going away.
Okay. I'd say I struggled a lot the first time I heard a thing, like when I was doing it, but I had a couple of audiobooks I had done, and audio things. So I found I was able to do it. The more I listened, the more I did it. Like I was able to do it a little better than I had. I'm still not very good at it, but I'm better than I was. So it might be you obviously can't change your neurological functionality there, but it might be a case of where there might be a way that it still could improve the other side of things potentially, if the more you do it. I don't know. I mean, it's something that you'd have to see for yourself. And I guess you get a chance to do it when you listen to Occupation the next couple of weeks. But I understand. Yeah, it is kind of frustrating. It's actually funny. You mentioned the inner monologue thing, and I have this weird in between inner monologue, I guess you could say. Because there's been plenty of times where I will read something and I do visualize it in my head, but I like tend to ignore specific descriptive like terminology for whatever reason.
Like
Like,
hair and eye color.
anything like that. You'll like just show a character. I'll say something about a character, and then I'll picture that character. It'll be like either somebody. It'll never be. It's not like an actor or an actress, and it's not somebody from my real life, but it's my own depiction of whoever this person is. And then I'll see a picture of what like the intended was, and it's not anything like it. I'm like, really, what? And then like they'll point out his skin was this, that, they're like, it'll be like. There's been times where I've like pictured a white guy just because I read it and it's a black guy. And I'm like, I know that's me. I'm like saying, obviously, like, how could I have missed that description? But like, I might have even just rolled by it or whatever it was. But same eye color, hair color can be totally different. So, and that's, but it's only really descriptive. Like, I understand what's going on and I see it in my head that way. But like the description, I think it's almost like I want to create the character myself in a way. I think it might be like an active way. I want to just create my own character, but it is interesting at times. It totally throws me for a loop. In this case, for this, knowing the characters for the most part outside of
the scenes,
the original,
the
original's right. Except for like it's harder to do with obviously Abraham. That was obviously different because he has such a different voice than Michael Cimino was.
I pictured Idris Elba.
Yeah, I kind of did too. It was like a combination. Yeah. Somebody was like, is it a combination of Idris Elba and somebody else that I can't remember his name. But I agree.
For Daniel, I can't remember the character's name from the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
The one who was the British kid.
Yep. Spider.
Yeah, sometimes I picture anime characters.
Hey, that works. Whatever gets you through it. But all right, last thing I wanted to throw out there. I did like the ending. I don't know what you thought, but I liked when Donovan met up with Abraham as a prisoner. Like kind of having Abraham and Donovan have a connection like that.
It was a little too forced.
You found it forced. I can understand why you found it that way.
Hey, you're in prison, so I'm going to assume you're a good person. I'm going to need you to go to my house and find a letter I wrote to my daughter-in-law.
Right. But I did like Donovan getting the connection with Lynn at the end instead of being Maxwell for some reason. I don't know why I liked it, but it made Donovan more of a focal point for it. I don't know. I did like it. I don't know. I understand why you say it felt forced, but I really did for whatever reason. I was very forgiving of it.
But also the way he's just like, okay, we're going to need food. We're going to need water. We're going to need this and that. And because I thought it was so weird that he's like, because you have one less person in your house, it won't be suspicious. Like that did not make any sense to me.
I think it was because.
But it's like the visitors have him. So like they know they have him.
But the other people might not, like the stores might not, kind of thing. They don't have to like.
And I think they have vouchers. One person is gonna like the food for one person.
But if one person's food is better than zero person's food, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a little wonky. I'll give you that. I understand what they're going for, and it's a little wonky. But all right. I guess anything else you want to say? Or we can wrap it up.
That sums it up.
Okay. Overall, I enjoyed it.
I give it a B-.
Solid B. Yeah, that's a good grade for it. I'd probably go a little bit higher. I'd probably go to B, solid B. At times a B plus, but overall I'd give it a B. I am looking forward to see how they change things if they do introduce like Willie and all that kind of stuff in Occupation. Some of you out there who are listening, who are the big V fans, probably actually already listened to it, and you can don't let us know, but you'll find out when we listen to it the next couple of weeks, because that's when we'll be back to talk about Occupation. But until then, this is actually much better than the 2009 version, though, right? That's what we can say.
Yeah.
There
yes.
You go. So be
yes.
Be positive there. All right.
Although Robin is worse.
Lego, where can the folks find you?
I can be found on Instagram at the Unhinged Binge, where I mostly post stuff about horror movies, but also I post some other stuff. Like recently, I've gotten into some Czechoslovak new wave. So if you're interested in like Valerie and a Week of Wonders and Daisy and the Czechoslovakian fairy tales, hey, stick around. Spooky season's coming up. Probably post a lot about horror movies maybe you're not familiar with. So I might give you some ideas. Like go watch Messiah of Evil. Have fun with it.
There you go. Why not? Absolutely. Good call. You can find me at Paul Denuzio on Twitter and Paul.Denuzio, Blue Sky, B Sky on the old Blue Sky. Find me all over this channel. Obviously, we are back here on review. Again, 2 weeks from now, we will get to talk about occupation. And then we're going to do another 2 of the adjacents. We're going to want a double feature of Watchers and Watchers 2. Which should be pretty fun. They're pretty fun movies to tackle. It's been a long time since I've watched them, honestly. So I'm very interested to see. And then we'll have to decide at that point. We will getting into the books and comics as well and decide how we're going to do that. I don't know if, like, especially for the comics, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a 1 episode kind of thing, or we might break it down into 1 or 2 episodes and kind of do some arcs. I don't know. We'll have to discuss that. But also on this channel, I got the 2 middle-aged geeks on film, myself and PJ Campbell, going through franchises. Right now we are working our way through our Ghostbusters / Men in Black crossover series. Although we did take a break to do Conjuring last ride. What you did suggest Casper, and PJ was probably all in on it. It's potential. I can see you doing it. It is technically canon. Dan Aykroyd is in there. You're absolutely right, for sure. On patreon.com/PLD Projects, we are doing the MCU rewatch. We're getting together next week to film Ant-Man. That's where we are at that point. Holy Snokes every other week. We do Star Wars with me and Maddie Gunner. I'm covering the news every other week, and then we're also doing the other week is going to be a thematic week. We just covered, we just did a Kurosawa one with Maddie did his own solo Kurosawa epic comment with Star Wars. We did the High Republic, the book series that we just ended. We're gonna tackle Michael Clayton. It's kind of like speaking of review adjacent, we're going to do a Holy Snokes adjacent, even though because Tony Gilroy directed Michael Clayton, that's his big thing before Andor. So we're going to do some compare and contrast there as well. And of course, my sister channel, do the Crown Jewels, my Queen podcast as well. I have so many podcasts. It's taking up like half our podcast, just me telling you about the podcast I'm doing. So I'm going to stop. But patreon.com/PLD Products. If you can't do that, you can like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the buttons and leave the reviews and help us fight the evil algorithm. But that'll do it for this week, folks. And we will see you next time here on Review.